In this video we're going to step through the process to build an FIR filter in FilterHose using predefined targets. Other videos will cover more detail about user-defined targets. The first step is to load a measurement. We need to move the impulse arrival back left here towards 0. So the quick way to get there is to select max to 0 and shift it slightly to the right. If you happen to shift it too far and have content not needed, then just simply shift that to the left. Keep in mind you can always clear all of this if you're not satisfied with your results. The next thing is to window this measurement. You can see on the right here there's a lot of comb filtering in that measurement. So we're going to select the multi-zone time window medium, select set, and that removes a fair bit of that information from the measurement. Choosing yes will set that permanently. And if I want to remove more what appears to be room effects in that measurement, in the advanced menu we can smooth the input. Smooth it to a 1/3 octave, and we'll do that again. Now that the measurement has been smoothed, we're going to work with the flat magnitude linear choice. This little pop-up window comes up and we adjust now the nominal target. In this case I'm interested to work from 100 to 10,000 Hertz. And I'm going to adjust the nominal target down until that black flat line intersects the red graph on the magnitude response. And if I choose that, actually I might want to go a little past 10,000 so that it intersects here on the right. If you're having trouble seeing this, by the way, remember to turn off the phase so you can see this a little more clearly in here. So I'm going to raise the right side of the frequency bandwidth, and the boost cut limit needs to be raised just slightly so that this peak in the response is included. I'll turn the phase back on. Now that I'm done setting things up, press set. We can now see in the middle graph the ideal filter on the right, and we need to edit it in step 3. Initially the shaded area is using the rectangular shape, but we're going to switch that to a Hanning 50%, center it, and we can see that the information needed is included on both sides. In my case I'm using hardware that uses 512 for the tap length. Enter that. Oh, got to move it again. So you center it. And there we are. Press set and then convolve. If you want a more detailed convolution, keep in mind there is the fast calculation choice. When that's unchecked, you'll get a more accurate and smoother response. With the convolve filter we can see that the magnitude response is very flat, which is part of our goal. But the other goal is to keep the processing delay to a minimum. Here you can see that this is at 5.3 milliseconds, and we might like to try to shorten that. Before we make the next step to go back and re-edit this filter, I'm first going to show you one of the little secret tools here. And that is, if you right-click on any of these graphs, there's a choice to peek the window, or really to get an exploded view of that window. For right now, I'm going to reselect my FilterHose window and just let this sit in the background, and we'll bring it out in a minute to compare the results. Go back to step 3 and select Filter Tap. It'll ask if you want to discard your settings, and yes, that's fine. The clear button lets us back up and then make the adjustments we need to make. The window is fine, the type, the size, and so forth. It's just that here on the right side you can see the shaded area begins before the content. So we're going to shift this over to the right until it's much closer to the beginning of the impulse. Select set and then convolve again. The fast calculation is already unchecked, so we already have the more accurate method in use. Notice now the magnitude response isn't quite as flat here in the mid-range as before, but The processing delay is much shorter than it was before, now close to 1 millisecond as opposed to 5.3. Remember we had made that peak window, and if I go down to my taskbar you can see it's still hiding back there. We can compare the previous magnitude response to the one we just created. This is a very small difference here between these two, and the processing delay might be more important in certain applications. So I'm going to close the peak window, and we're going to use the one we have now. There's two ways to get your filter out of FilterHose. You probably already know about the Export Filter button. Or you can go here to the filter window in the middle, right-click, and you'll notice that this graph can be exported in different formats. You can have an image, or you can have the same choices with the radio button. So let's pick the CSV format and save.